Topic is Leaford 2. So yesterday I have covered about Leaford 1. Moving on towards the next fracture, that is the Leaford 2 fracture. So Leaford 2 fracture is also known as pyramidal, subzygomatic or mid-level fracture. Now before starting off with the main topic, that is the fracture line, so I'm going to give a brief about the anatomy of it, because if you know this anatomy well, then you can easily learn the fracture line and it becomes very easy to memorize that fracture lines. So first, this is the picture. So first I'm going to talk about the anatomy of the orbit. Now this is the orbit. So this is the orbit in which, now this is the lacrimal bone. Over here, this small space, inside this lacrimal bone is the lacrimal sac. Over here, this adjacent to your lacrimal bone is this ethmoidal bone. In ethmoidal bone you have this optic canal. Now this area is known as, it is the orbital plate of the frontal bone. So over here, this is the orbital plate of the frontal bone. As your frontal bone is present over here, so this is the orbital plate of the frontal bone. Now this portion over here, this is the orbital plate of the maxillary bone. As your maxillary bone is present over here, so it is the orbital plate of the maxillary bone. And this part over here, this part, small part, it is the orbital plate of the zygomatic bone. As your zygomatic bone is present over here, so this is the orbital plate of the zygomatic bone. Now this, it is the lesser wing of sphenoid. This is the greater wing of sphenoid. Now in greater wing of sphenoid, you will have this superior orbital fissure. This above part is the superior orbital fissure and this lower part, it is the inferior orbital fissure. And this suture, it is known as sphenozygomatic suture. Now this is your sphenoid bone. So as we have said, this is the lesser wing of sphenoid and this is the greater wing of sphenoid. In this greater wing of sphenoid, you have this superior orbital fissure and inferior orbital fissure. So this is the sphenozygomatic suture. This red, so this line, it is the sphenozygomatic suture. So this is all about orbit. Now over here, this is the frontonasal suture. Frontal bone and the nasal bone. So the suture between it is the frontonasal suture. So these two, they are the nasal bone, which are a paired bone, that is right and left. So this is the nasal bones. Over here, this part, it becomes the frontal process of maxilla. Over here, this whole part, this and this. So adjacent to your nasal bone is this frontal process of maxilla. Over here, this is the frontal process of maxilla. Then, as we have said about lacrimal bone, lacrimal sac, frontonasal suture, and this is the infraorbital foramen. So below your infraorbital rim, it is the infraorbital foramen. These are your maxillary sinuses. This is the pyriform aperture, nasal septum. The middle part of your nose is the nasal septum. Then over here, this is the zygomatic arch, zygomatic bone, and this suture, it is known as zygomatico-maxillary suture. So between the maxilla and the zygomatic is the zygomatico-maxillary suture, and this is your frontozygomatic suture. Between the frontal and the zygomatic bone is the frontozygomatic suture, and this is the zygomatic maxillary suture. This is all about the anatomy of it. Now the main anatomical landmarks that we want in Leaford 2 is lacrimal bone, lacrimal sac, suture. This is the zygomatico-maxillary suture. Then the foramen, nasal bone, frontonasal suture. So the main things I have written over here, and this was just a brief about the anatomy of the eye, that is the orbit. Now what is the etiology of Leaford 2? So the forces, they are applied at the level of the nasal bone. Now yesterday we have seen in Leaford 1, the forces, they were applied above the apices of your maxillary teeth. So when you are applying the forces above these apices, it leads to Leaford 1. Now when you are applying forces over the level of the nasal bone, so it leads to the Leaford 2. Now moving on towards the main part, that is the fracture line. So I'm going to explain this fracture line in the easiest way that is possible so that you can learn it properly. So your fracture line, now as we have seen yesterday, the fracture line of Leaford 1 was laterally and medially. Now this fracture line, it is anteriorly and posteromedially. So starting off with the first point, that is, now your fracture line. So the fracture line, it runs anteriorly through the middle area of the nasal bone. So this is your nasal bone. So first point is, it starts, so your fracture line, it runs or it starts from the nasal bones. and that is also the middle level, so the middle area of the nasal bone. So the first point is it starts from this middle area and it is usually below the frontonasal suture. It is below frontonasal suture. Usually it does not involve this frontonasal suture. So this is the first point, that it starts from the nasal bone, that is the middle area of your nasal bone. So this is the first point. The next point is then it crosses the frontal process of maxilla. So now we have seen this is the frontal process of maxilla bone. It crosses the frontal process of the maxilla. This is the second point. Now we have seen, so it crosses the frontal process of maxilla. Now this fracture line, it enters the medial wall of the orbit. Now your orbit, it has 4 walls. So this is the medial wall, superior wall, lateral wall and inferior wall. So this is the medial wall. So it enters, so now you have seen this was the first point, that was your, it starts from the nasal bone. It crosses, now it has crossed the frontal process of maxilla. Then it enters the medial wall of the orbit. Now this is your medial wall. So now this fracture line, it has entered this medial wall. Then it fractures the lacrimal bone. Now this is your lacrimal bone. The shaded portion over here is the lacrimal bone and this is the lacrimal sac, the smaller part. So the fracture line, it fractures the lacrimal bone behind the lacrimal sac. So this is the important point. You are not going into or through this lacrimal sac. The fracture line, it is behind the lacrimal sac. So now this fracture line, it has entered the medial wall of the orbit and it fractures and it runs through the lacrimal bone behind the lacrimal sac. And this is the next point. So it enters the medial wall of your orbit. Then it runs or fracture the lacrimal bone behind the lacrimal sac. This is the important point, you have to remember this. Behind the lacrimal sac. Then next point is, so this is the third point. Next point is then it crosses the inferior orbital rim. So this is your inferior orbital rim. So it runs in through this inferior orbital rim at the junction of middle 1/3 and the lateral 2/3. So now if your orbit, it is divided into 3 parts. So this becomes your middle 1/3 and this is your lateral 2/3. So this line, this fracture line, it crosses through this junction. So it crosses from this point. So now you have seen it has fractured or it runs through the lacrimal bone behind the lacrimal sac. Then it turns forward and it crosses this infraorbital margin at the junction of this middle 1/3 and the lateral 2/3. Then the next point is it may or it may not cross the infraorbital foramen. So this is your infraorbital foramen. Now you have seen the points. So nasal bone, then it was crossing through the frontal process of maxilla, then it enters the medial wall of the orbit, then it runs or it fractures the lacrimal bone behind the lacrimal sac, and then it runs anteriorly and it runs from the junction of the middle 1/3 and lateral 2/3 of the infraorbital rim, and then it crosses through the infraorbital foramen. So there are 2 scenarios in this. So it can go through this infraorbital foramen or it is medial to the infraorbital foramen. So these are the 2 scenarios which you will see in the next point of this fracture line, but it is never lateral to it. So this fracture line, it is passing through this infraorbital foramen or it is medial to it, but it is never lateral to that, to this infraorbital foramen. So this is the next point, that is, so after this you have seen it. So the fourth point is it crosses inferior orbital rim at the junction of middle 1/3 and lateral 2/3. So this was the fourth point. Now the next, it crosses the infraorbital foramen or, and this is the fifth point, so infraorbital foramen or it is medial to that foramen, but it is never lateral to it. So you have to remember this point too. So it is medial to the foramen. Now the next point is, so now it has crossed from this foramen, that is your infraorbital foramen. Then this fracture line, it runs from the anterolateral wall of the maxillary sinus. So it is running through the anterolateral wall of this maxillary sinus. So the anterolateral wall is the one which is facing facially. So it crosses and it runs from this anterolateral wall of the maxillary sinus, which is beneath your zygomatico-maxillary suture. This fracture line, it is not going beyond this suture. So it is ahead of this suture, or it is beneath this zygomatico-maxillary suture, and then it crosses the anterolateral wall of the maxillary sinus. Now this was the next point, that is the sixth point, that is it crosses through the anterolateral wall of the maxillary sinus. And it also runs, so you have seen now it is crossing through the anterolateral wall of the maxillary sinus, and it is beneath the zygomatic bone. So this fracture line, it is beneath this zygomatic bone, and hence it is known as subzygomatic, because it is beneath this zygomatic bone. So this fracture line is not in this zygomatic, above this zygomatic bone, it is beneath this zygomatic bone. So you have to remember this point too. And it is known as mid-level because now your mid-face, we have seen Le Fort 1 is a low-level one, and this is a mid-face. It is at the mid-level of your mid-face, and hence it is known as mid-level. Now we have seen, now moving on towards the fracture line. So it is now beneath the zygomatic bone, and hence it is subzygomatic. The last point is, now it runs posteriorly in the horizontal direction. Now I'll show you this thing in this lateral view of your skull. So now you have seen, this is the way it has crossed. Now it is going posteriorly, and that becomes your posterior-medial. So anteriorly you have covered all these points. So these are the 6 points that you have to write in the anterior line. Now in the posterior-medially, so now this fracture line, it runs posteriorly in the horizontal direction. So it is running posteriorly in the horizontal direction, and it fractures the pterygoid plate through the middle third. Now in Le Fort 1, this is the differentiating feature that you should know. In Le Fort 1, we have seen this lateral plate of your pterygoid, it was fractured at the lower 1/3 level. But now in this Le Fort 2, this pterygoid plate, it is fractured at the middle 1/3. So we have seen now, this is the posterior-medially. So it runs posteriorly in a horizontal direction, and it fractures the pterygoid plate through the middle 1/3 of it. And this is all about the posterior-medially. And this is all about the fracture line of your Le Fort 2. Now this fracture, it completely separates. So now this is the one part of it. So this is unilateral. But now, as we have seen in the introduction to the maxillary fracture, so I have said the possibilities that there can be combination of Le Fort 2, 3. For example, unilaterally you will find, like this line, you will find only on one side, and this is all about one side. And this is, if it is a classical Le Fort fracture, then you will see this thing on the both side. Over here you will see this thing bilaterally, and that is the classical feature that Le Fort told. But now as the face, it is a complex structure, so you can see combination of Le Fort 2 or Le Fort 1, Le Fort 2 and Le Fort 3. For example, you will find this Le Fort 2 on one side, and you will see Le Fort 1 or Le Fort 3 on other side. But now this is the classical case, so we are just talking about the fracture line in a classical Le Fort case. So this fracture, it completely separates the middle third from the remaining skull. So this fracture, it separates your middle third from the skull. And if it is bilaterally, then this fracture is going through this nasal septum also. And because of that, it is completely separated. Now you can see, this is how your fracture line, it looks like. And this looks like a, so this fracture line, it looks like a pyramid. And hence it is known as a pyramidal fracture, because it has this like shape of this pyramid. And this is all about the fracture lines. Now moving on towards the clinical features. So the first clinical feature is you will see swelling. So there is this gross edema which is present on the middle third of the face, which gives the appearance of moon faces, or it is a balloon faces. So there is this gross edema, as in this the orbit is involved. So it will give this gross edema to the face, which is known as moon faces, or it is also known as balloon face to the patient. So this is the first point that you need to remember, that is this moon faces. The next point is you will see subcutaneous emphysema. So this emphysema, it is often seen as the bulging of the skin, where the skin, when you're palpating the skin, so you'll see there is a crepitus formation. Crepitus is nothing but it is like a crackling sound, which will, like on palpation, you will see the crepitus. So you'll feel the crepitus. So it is evident by the crepitus, which is felt on palpation, and this is due to there is the direct communication between the sinus cavity and the soft tissue of the face, and because of that you will see this subcutaneous emphysema. Now the next point is you will see telecanthus. Now what is this telecanthus? Telecanthus is nothing but it is the increased distance between the canthus of the eye. So this is your medial canthus. So the distance between them is increased, and that is the telecanthus. So it is usually a swelling which is present over the nasal bridge, and it may give the illusion of the telecanthus, and that is pseudotelecanthus. So it gives the illusion of telecanthus. So in Lefort 2 you will see pseudo-telecanthus, but in Lefort 3 you will see true telecanthus. And this is when there is involvement of the naso-orbital and ethmoidal fracture. So in Lefort 3 you will see a true telecanthus. Now the fourth point is you will see epistaxis. And due to this epistaxis, the patient, he becomes a mouth breather, because your nasal, so you'll see there is nasal block. Because of that, the patient is breathing through the mouth. Then you'll see epistaxis, and you'll see epiphora, which are common in the displaced fracture of the maxilla, which is involving the lacrimal sac. The next is you will see bilateral. So the next clinical feature is there is bilateral circumorbital or periorbital edema. Circumorbital, or there is periorbital edema, and orbital edema, and it gives the appearance of the raccoon eyes. So this is again a classical feature for this Lefort 2. You'll have this raccoon eyes because of now your orbits, they are involved, and because of that there is edema around this orbit, and that is the circumorbital edema. Next clinical feature is subconjunctival hemorrhage, and this is restricted to the medial aspect of the eyeball. So this is restricted to the medial aspect. Now your fracture line, it is passing through this medial wall, so it is restricted. This subconjunctival hemorrhage, it is limited to the medial aspect of the eyeball, and it has this posterior limiting demarcation. But this demarcation is usually, so this has this posterior limiting demarcation, but this demarcation is usually lost in Lefort 3. So this is the differentiating feature between Lefort 2 and 3. The next one is you will see edema or chemosis of the conjunctiva. So there is edema of conjunctiva. Next sign is you will say CSF rhinorrhea. So CSF rhinorrhea is nothing but the leakage of the cerebrospinal fluid through the nose. So you will see this cerebrospinal fluid, it is coming in a form of liquid through the nose. So this is nothing but CSF rhinorrhea. The next is you will see enophthalmos. Now you know what is exophthalmos. Exophthalmos is the bulging of the eye, but enophthalmos is nothing but it is the posterior displacement of the orbit. So your eye, it gets sunken. So that is nothing but the enophthalmos. Then you will see there is limitation in the ocular mobility, and you will see diplopia. So diplopia is nothing but the blurred vision, and it is because of the fracture of the orbital floor. So you will see diplopia in the patients of Lefort 2. Next is you will see paresthesia of the infraorbital nerve. So you will see paresthesia of the nerve because it is passing through this infraorbital foramen. So it causes the paresthesia of the nerve, and because of that it causes the paresthesia or anesthesia of all the structures which are provided, which are supplied by this nerve, and it can lead to paresthesia of the cheeks. So this is another feature which you will see in LIFO 2. Next is there is step deformity at the infraorbital rims. So now yesterday we have seen this is a differentiating feature from LIFO 1, 2 and 3. You will see step deformity in LIFO 2 at the infraorbital rims. So the mobility is present at the infraorbital rims. Next point is you will see ecchymosis or hematoma which is seen in the buccal sulcus, which is opposite to the first and the second molar. So you will see ecchymosis over here. Next is sometimes you will see there is nasal or pharyngeal hemorrhage which occurs and it causes the upper airway obstruction. Then you will see mid-palatine split, which you see usually in LIFO 1, 2. And then you can see anterior open bite. Class 3 malocclusion is usually present in the case of LIFO 2. And because of this, it creates a dish face deformity. So there is this dish face deformity which you will see in dish face deformity is nothing but the prominence of the face is lost. So it will give the appearance of a dish face. Next feature is lengthening of the face. Because this fracture, it separates the mid face from the skull, and because of that it will show this lengthening of the face. And the last feature is the palpation of when you are palpating the vestibule, it will reveal tenderness. And these all are the clinical features of LIFO 2. Now again the diagnosis, it remains the same as we have seen for the LIFO 1, that you are doing the clinical features, diagnosis through clinical features, radiographic features and CT scan. So this is all about LIFO 2 fracture. And this was it for this video. Thank you so much.